with that, I'm calling it quits in the vlog for the time being. Back in October 2020, the content catch-up journey began. Unlike most content creators, I had dug myself into a very deep hole. Through laziness, poor prioritization, and a lack of systems, I had accumulated a backlog of almost 100 hours of footage from vlogs and podcasts, which I had filmed but not edited. And that was only the recent stuff. There were still hundreds of hours of footage that I archived indefinitely. At this point, I was sick and tired of being behind, and I wanted nothing more than to be caught up. The only problem? I had no motivation to do any of the editing required. To fire me up, I made a simple deal with myself. For the past 4 years, as I developed my craft within content creation, I had recorded everything with my iPhone X, but now that the quality of my videos had improved so much, it was time to upgrade the equipment side of things as well. I told myself that if I could get caught up, I would reward myself with a camera. And it worked. Let's do this. For the first time in months, I had motivation to edit again and went balls deep into video editing mode. The incentive initially began as the Canon M50, but after extensive research and multiple iterations, I eventually discovered and focused in on the Sony A7C. However, as the journey progressed, my intentions evolved as well. I realized I wasn't doing it just for a camera anymore. It became about the freedom I desired, and shortly after, about the skill I was cultivating as I evolved into a better creator. The journey had its ups and downs, but I kept pushing forward no matter what, channeling my inner why power of camera, freedom, and growth. Then on December 3rd, 2020, with 60 hours of footage edited to date, a rush of intensity and urgency flooded my body. I became hyper aware of time and realized how fast Christmas and 2021 were approaching. In order to enjoy myself over the holidays and start 2021 off correctly, I needed to get this done before the year end. It was achievable, but I wasn't sure if I could pull off the projected timeline. To improve my chances, I outlined a plan with 3 phases, clarified my whys, addressed the challenges I'd be likely to face, and how I'd overcome them, and I cut off contact with the world. Before I began, I reminded myself, the action's probably gonna have to come before the belief here, and jumped headfirst into phase 1. Phase 1 was for clipping. For each vlog, I imported all of the footage in chronological order and analyzed each clip to determine what would make it, what might make it, and what had to go. I roughly edited each episode, outlined ideas, and gave my future self instructions for the next phase, which is where the real editing occurs. Overall, this stage was not pretty. I was tired, I wasn't eating well, and I wasn't having a very fun time either. I am struggling most days. However, by putting in the essential work, I had built momentum, which led to the belief that I could pull this off. And it turned out I was right. The work did have to come before the belief, after all. To keep this momentum going, to anchor it in, and to keep myself aligned, I developed a ritual of listening to What's Up Danger and visualized the short-term work with the long-term results, which was powered by momentum, belief, and watching myself improve. I was painfully aware of how much I still had to grow because I had to listen to extensive rambling, inessential storylines, and a plethora of verbal tics that I had to cut, such as and oh my god, I've said that so many times it just hurts. But despite all that, I could see that the vlogs were improving in quality and it was everything. From the video editing and the filming to the communication and the storytelling, I could see that I was leveling up. And with this trajectory, I could see that yes, I was going to be good at this someday. And it gave me the fuel I needed to transition into phase 2. With the footage reviewed, clipped, and roughly edited, it was time for the hardcore editing. I began with finding the correct song to match the vibe, which guided the entire edit. From there, to reduce my biases and attachments to the footage I have in front of me, I pretended like I was watching the video on YouTube. I cleaned up the pacing, cut inessential storylines and clips, added effects, and did whatever else was required to leave the video in a high quality manner and, in the process, satisfy my inner consumer. As the timeline drew closer, thoughts of fear and doubt populated my mind, and I questioned if I could actually pull this off. It became an emotional roller coaster, but I kept going no matter what. Then with 5 days to go before Christmas events began, I lost all faith that I could pull off phase 2 in time for Christmas, let alone phase 3. I don't think I'm gonna hit the intended timeline, which is December 23rd. So I shifted my focus. Instead of rushing the completion of the vlogs for my subjective timeline, I focused on creating high quality vlogs that I'd be proud of no matter how long they took, while equally giving myself a chance at hitting that timeline. I did energy work sessions on myself and my content, I quit eating unhealthy, and I did the longest fast I've ever done in my life. 48 hours with just water, and above all, I just kept moving forward step by step. These major improvements within health and energy helped me achieve insane levels of mental clarity and productivity. I got so much done in the last 24 hours. I was able to push through difficult edits with almost no breaks required, and by relentlessly continuing to edit, a great body of work was produced which radically shifted my belief, my momentum, and my emotional well-being. However, even after this crazy push, I realized in the coming days that I would not be able to finish phase 3 in time for Christmas. I don't think I'm going to be able to do phase 3 in time. But if I could finish phase 2, which was the most important part of this project and the most challenging, that would be enough for me to be present throughout Christmas. As long as I get the main editing done, that is what I really care about. I continued to push and push, and on December 23rd, with just an hour to go before Christmas events began, I finished phase 2. Yes, you have no idea how much this means to me right now. As I filled with excitement for completing the most challenging portion of this project and gratitude for doing what was required, I headed off to the first of many Christmas events. Christmas as a whole was great. I was super present and I capitalized on some much needed time to relax and recharge because I was super burnt out. Plus, because I'm almost always insanely focused on my personal evolution and what I'm working on, family time gets slashed. So it was really nice to see the extended family and create some wholesome memories. Christmas events lasted from December 23rd to December 26th, and though I was still battling burnout, I leveraged my magic time in the morning before family events took place to progress on phase 3. Now phase 3 is for everything after the main video editing. This included the final render and review, along with titles, trailers, descriptions, thumbnails, and distribution tasks. It was only supposed to take a handful of days, but that did not go as planned at all. Once Christmas events were over, I was still left exhausted because I'm an introvert at heart, but I continued to strive forward at a reduced pace with the hope that I would recharge while I was advancing. However, I started to realize that my chances were slipping away. On December 28th, days from my timeline coming to a close, 4 year-end tasks were added to my plate. I realized I wouldn't be able to complete everything I wanted to before the year end, and with it, my desire to start the year with a clean slate was ripped away. After struggling hard with my attachments, I slept on it, did some more spiritual work, and from a grounded place of clarity, I approached the situation rationally. I surrendered and accepted the realities. Projects would leak into the next year, but I wasn't gonna die. I am officially willing to bleed into 2021. I identified the essential, reprioritized, and killed my dreams of catching up on content before 2021, which by the way, felt surprisingly empowering. I first began with the Journal 8, which was my best solo podcast to date. Let's go! Afterwards, I underwent an intense annual reflection that lasted multiple days. With an hour and a half left in 2020, I completed the process, which came in at a massive 18,000 words. So in true Josh Moxey fashion, while the masses celebrated clock time moving forward, I allocated my New Year's to reflection and growth.
If you want to be an anomaly, you've got to act like one.
To close out the night, I had a glorious meal, watched a bit of entertainment YouTube, sipped champagne at 11:58 p.m. because who decided that 12 a.m. was when we should celebrate? Wished my incredible mother a happy new year and went to sleep at 12:30 a.m. eager to get started on the new year while everyone else was still hungover. It felt fascinating to begin the year knowing that content catch-up and other year-end tasks were still incomplete. However, it didn't matter anywhere close to what I had thought. My life went on, I didn't die, we moved. And with that newfound clarity, I got started on the year's priorities. The first project completed on the year was goal setting. In short, I set become a real entrepreneur as my business focus, along with a goal in every other area of my life to support it. Afterwards, inspired by James Clear's minimalist format, I crafted a blog post for my 2020 reflection, which took a handful of days and became bigger than I expected, but leveled up my writing skills tremendously. With the remaining year-end projects completed, I refocused on phase 3 and went heads down, and only came up to record a few key moments in my journey, such as when I stopped identifying with my physical body, when I hit 100 words per minute, or when I cried like a baby after watching A Star is Born. All of which you can find on my backup channel, links are in the description below. Over the next couple of weeks, I remained dialed in as I finished the phase 3 actions, and on January 1st, 2021, as I completed the final vlogs and podcasts with up to December 3rd's footage, I was officially caught up on what I could control. It felt incredible. Now all that remained was patiently posting the content as time went on. To stick with the theme of incentives, I celebrated with pizza, a reward I had set for myself in early December, but honestly, the pizza was not as good as I had remembered. Unhealthy food rarely is. Afterwards, I returned to the world and responded to messages to let people know that I hadn't actually died, and FaceTimed some of my favorite people who I hadn't spoken to in months.
What the fuck? You're alive?
I've had 4 FaceTime because
I'm trying. I was number 4.
You are number 4, but like, bro, you're like number 1 in my heart. You know that. It felt incredible to talk with my friends again. Super overwhelming having all of this external input that I wasn't used to, and very, very strange seeing my thoughts printed on blue bubbles. Afterwards, I returned to social, which was just as crazy because I had completely detached from the social media matrix, and I began sharing my videos. I got positive responses on what I'd created, as well as useful feedback for how I can improve in the future, and it all felt incredible. By the way, if you want to hear more about what it was like to return to social media after 2.5 months of being gone, links will be in the description. Then later that night, I laid down for sleep in a super overstimulated state, as if I had just drank a fresh cup of coffee, and I signed off on the vlog. For a few days, I think that's it for me for vlogging. I need to take a step back from a camera real quick. I'll see you when I see you. But then days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and I enjoyed executing off camera so much that I never came back. And with that, I'm calling it quits in the vlog for the time being. The point of documenting is to show a worthwhile evolution. But if the end goal, if the end game of that journey is not a successful one, all of the documenting in the world will be worthless. As I realized this more and more in the past handful of months, it's brought me a lot of pain and a lot of clarity at the same time. And it's parlayed into vlogging as well. Like, vlogging is arguably the greatest way to capture your life, but it takes a ton of time and a ton of energy to maintain. And if too much of your time and energy is being invested into documenting on a day-to-day basis, that can take away valuable resources that you require in order to execute on your most essential work. And if you don't allocate your resources effectively, it can sabotage the entire reason of why you began documenting to begin with. In my situation, content creation has grown me tremendously over the past 4 years. If you've been sticking along, you've seen the growth, you've seen the evolution on camera. But I've consistently used content as a crutch to avoid doing my most important work on this planet. And because of this, my results in business and in content are nowhere close to what they should be. In order to create the life I want with the happiness, the success, the impact that I truly desire, I need to change foundationally how I'm allocating my resources and what I'm prioritizing. And ultimately, by doing so, give myself a gift of creating a journey that is worth documenting. And right now, that's gonna manifest by saying a lot less and doing a lot more.
This feels damn good, man.
The other main reason of why I'm quitting vlogging is I'm a very different creator than I once was. I have no interest in making content in the way that I used to. My style is changing, my standards are evolving, and it's just a completely different game now. I still want to create content, but I want to storytell and bring value in different ways than I ever have, especially with a focus on essentialism, shorter, and higher quality videos. For example, let's take this finale, shall we? What you may not know is this shorter video began as 20 hours of footage and was slotted to become 2 to 3 long-form vlogs. But halfway through editing the plethora of randomness, rambling, and inessential footage, I was so exhausted by sharing my day-to-day as I previously had that I almost scrapped everything. Before I could, however, the universe intervened and presented me with an idea. Isolate the key storylines, convert it into a short-form vlog, and storytell over top of the footage. As a way of testing my essentialism skills, I accepted. I reviewed the chaos, identified the key storylines, and wrote my first ever script. I filmed the voiceover, which is what I'm doing right now, then selected the relevant B-roll from the vlog footage and chopped it up into one of my best videos ever. Editing Josh here, confirmed. It felt badass because it grew me in ways that scrapping or editing it in previous styles ever would have. It also allowed me to pay my respects to a series that deeply assisted my creative evolution by closing it out properly, while also giving you guys a preview of what's to come. As you guys know, the only constant is evolution, and I cannot wait to show you guys what I have in store. I'm so amped. So there you have it. The content journey is complete. Celebratory guns. On the real, for experienced editors, this is probably nothing. For other people, this probably seems like a lot of content and a lot of footage. But what's not up for debate is how much I grew throughout this process. No pun intended. I was reluctant to release any of the Content Catch-up Chronicles type of thing because it's so damn meta. Like, it's literally vlogs above vlogs. Like, why? But the reason why I decided to put these out after all is because it captures the journey of me going from an average content creator to a lot better than average. To me, and hopefully to others, it will continue to serve as a reference for how much you can grow in your skills in a limited period of time through continued reps. The journey began with cameras, then morphed into freedom, and then ultimately became about the creator I was becoming, not only in video editing, but in essentialism, detachment, communication, storytelling, simplicity, filming, and beyond. It was painful at times, but I'm so grateful that I put in the work required and continued doing so, whether I felt like it or not, because I knew at the deepest of levels that it was going to be worth it. So let this be a reminder. If you're going through something right now and you know in your heart of hearts that it's going to be worthwhile and that your why and your goal is juicy enough, you have to keep going. Of course, be thoughtful, take breaks when they're essential, and find your ideal balance so you don't burn out. But afterwards, channel that why, keep it top of mind, channel all your internal power. And like the great Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Go one step at a time and just keep moving forward regardless of how you feel. Your time is coming, but you have to persevere long enough to experience that time. If you watched all the way to the end, comment below. Loved the meta-ness, mate. If you're in a growth mindset and are committed to evolving in life and in business, consider subscribing. I have 3 channels: podcast channel, main channel, and backup channel. Guys, thank you so much for watching, listening, and subscribing. It means a ton. I'll catch you guys in a bit. I'm off to buy my first camera.